Callie Patrick, and I'm a therapeutic yoga teacher at Waverly Oaks Athletic Club. The first pose in yoga that most people learn is called mountain pose. So let's try it together. You'll stand up and place your feet hip width distance apart. Now, how wide is hip distance? We're not actually talking about the fashion hips. We're talking about the hip bones that you'll usually find when you press into the front of your hips right here. So mine are about here. We want to draw a straight line down from those hip points to the feet and face all the toes forward. Why do we do that? Well, you might notice that it's easier to stand with the toes pointing outward a little bit. But I want you to notice something. You turn your feet in, you're working the legs a little bit more. They're internally rotating versus externally rotated. And so, first of all, it might help to bring more of your attention and your focus to what you're doing, which is really what yoga is all about. You might also find that your lower back becomes a little happier with the position. Now, this is because, now if you think about, I'm going to show you with the hands. If your feet are out and the heels of my hands are your back, right? If you're in this position and then you turn your toes to face forward, what just happened to the heels of my hands, right? Space got created there. So if you have any low back pain, facing the toes in might create a little more space in the low back, and I want you to notice if you can feel that. So as you come into your mountain pose, just turn your feet out, feel that part of the low back, and then turn the toes in and notice if you feel any space there. Sometimes it takes a little while to get the body awareness, so if you don't notice it just yet, or if it's just kind of uncomfortable in the hips or in the knees, notice that as well. So we're going to work from the ground up. I want you to just rock on your feet forward and back, balls of your feet to your heels, and then see if you can find that place where you're balanced between the front part of the foot and the back part of the foot. And then do that from side to side. So move forward or move side to side. And then find that place where you feel balanced on the feet. So we're actually looking to press the feet down into the floor. Softening the knees a little bit will help. So meaning bend the knee, both knees just a little bit. And so we're looking to press down, and this will become really useful when you do other standing poses, on four corners of the feet. So if this is my foot, I'm pressing down on the ball of the foot here on this side and on that side, and then the heel on that side and that side. So just like you have with the hands, you have on the feet those 4 points. We want you to press down into the floor while keeping the knees with a little bend. This helps you use the muscles of your legs rather than locking the knees, which many of us do, right? When we lock the knees, we press in back, right? And that affects your joints. So you really want to keep a little bend in the knees at all times. So now that we've talked about the feet and the knees, we have the pelvis to talk about. So if I'm to stand naturally, one of the things that happens is my back kind of sways. This means that my pelvis is sort of naturally tipped forward, right? So when I come into mountain pose to align everything correctly, what I need to do is press into the feet, soften the knees, and then take my tailbone, which is the very lowest part of my back, and just relax it down toward my heels. And see what happens to my back now, right? Instead of that, I relax it down. My pelvis is now even. Some people, when they stand naturally, what happens is the pelvis is tipped forward a little bit, right? And so in that case, we want to pull it back. I want you to think of your pelvis, this area around here, like a fishbowl, right? So we don't want to tip water out the front, and we don't want to tip water out the back. And from side to side, we should be level as well. So you can play with that in the pelvis. We want to have everything nice and level. And then remember those hip points that we talked about? Well, from here, we want to, from that hip point, we want to lengthen up through both sides of the waist as if we're growing taller all the way up into the armpits. And what usually happens there is one of two things. The knees lock, so we need to relax the knees a little bit, or the shoulders come up as we elongate up. So we want to relax the shoulders down, but lifting up and out of the waist. And then the top of the head, the crown, we want to reach that up as if someone was putting a hand on top of our head and we can grow up into that hand, right? At the same time, your feet are still pressing down all four corners. The knees are still slightly soft, the pelvis is level. We're lifting up through the sides of the waist, relaxing the shoulders. The arms are typically down at the sides. You can face the palms into the body, spread out the fingers a little bit, and energetically reach the fingertips down toward the floor. So the feet, the fingers reach down. We lift up and out of the waist and reach the top of the head up. Now, if you found that this was a lot to focus on, you're absolutely right. So usually when we start to focus on things in the upper body, the things in the lower body let go, right? So all four corners of the feet, the knees, the pelvis, sides of the waist, shoulders, fingers, top of the head. And in your mind, I want you to keep repeating through, from feet all the way up. Notice what lets go, right? This is usually what we need to work on for posture. Mountain pose is fantastic for posture. And so you want to feel as though you're elongating in opposite directions. And at the same time, I'm going to ask you to breathe. So while your brain is cycling through all these different parts of the body, you're taking deep breaths in and out through the nose. You're not holding the breath. Good. Well, let's take 2 more breaths here. Just hanging out. Mountain pose. Very good. Now you can relax. I suggest that if you're interested in your posture, interested in improving your posture, or you're interested in firming up your standing poses, feeling a lot more stable, that you work on this elongation of the spine. You can practice mountain pose anytime you're standing and do it at least 3 times a week. See what happens. All right? This is Callie Patrick, again with Waverly Oaks Athletic Club. I hope to see you again soon.